Welcome to the Jack Duffley Show, a weekly podcast exploring investing, real estate, the markets, law, technology, and everything in between. Here's your host, Jack Duffley.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Jack Duffley Show. For those of you who don't know, we're actually on a few platforms now, including most recently iTunes, so definitely go check us out there and subscribe if you haven't already. We also have the YouTube version, which you may or may not be watching right now. And then there's always an audio version on my website at jackduffley.com/show. So whichever one you're most comfortable with, definitely check it out. With me today, I have my friend Steve Krueger, another person that I met through the real estate club at the University of Illinois a few years back, and we've, of course, stayed in touch since then. He's in the Chicagoland area working as a commercial real estate broker with Marcus and Millichap. So without further ado, Steve, if you want to just introduce yourself and let us know about what you're working on right now.
Yeah, hi, Jack. I just want to say thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Always enjoyed talking to you when we catch up at events, and now it's good to have me on the podcast. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise.
Yeah. So currently I'm a commercial real estate broker, as you said, just focusing on investment sales at Marcus Millichap. Specifically, I do multi-tenant retail shopping centers. What I'm working on right now is a shopping center in Merrillville, Indiana. We're doing a proposal on it for a client who's looking to sell it, get out of it, and just hoping to turn that over and get some business during these weird times.
Yeah, and I mean, you're also just starting out in commercial real estate, so it's probably a little bit tough as it is, regardless of the circumstances. But I mean, you've been in the game for a couple of years now, so I wanted to know what your perspective was on having success as a new commercial real estate broker, since my understanding is the turnover rate is very high because it's pretty tough to break into. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So speaking from personal experience, I'd say the turnover rate, at least at my office, we started off with a class of about 12 people starting off at the same time. And within a year, I'd say over half of those people were gone. And within other people in the office, I'd seen about probably 10 more leave. So a total of 10 to 15 within the past year and a half. Which is pretty big to me. I never worked anywhere else, but that seems, it's quite difficult.
Yeah, and that's prior to COVID is my guess?
Yeah, that was prior to COVID. That was when the market was extremely well. We were in the longest economic bull run in modern history, and people were still leaving at that rate, yeah.
All right, so what's your secret? How are you sticking around? How are you making it work?
Low expenses, moving off my parents after college, and you just have to have grit. I'm not saying that I'm extremely successful at it yet. Building a business takes a long time, but I'm still trying at it, and we'll see in the next few years if it's for me or not. But I'm not about to quit. That's something that I haven't even done for a few years because I don't even know if I'm good at it yet.
Well, what are you working on to build business? What do you have, like a mentor or something like that, or is it really all bootstraps from the ground up, all you? I'm sure you got someone there helping you out a little bit.
Yeah. Marcus and Millichap was pretty good with that, with the training. They're very known for their training segment of their business. They give us mentors. They list the deals with us. Obviously, they're financially compensated for those deals too. So the interests are aligned. So I have mentors that have been in the business for 15 years, incredibly successful. They're on Crane's Chicago Business and all the other big Chicago magazines. So I'm learning under them. But ultimately, it comes down to your conversations with clients and owners, and your ability to connect with them that gets you to the business.
So then I'd assume it's a good amount of cold calling as well. Or are you cold calling businesses? Do you have kind of a niche that you focus on within not only real estate, but maybe within retail? Or is there like a target demographic that you have?
Yeah, it's pretty cutthroat. I'd say the majority of my day is cold calling. I work at out-of-state business plans, so I don't really go to meet with clients yet. I mean, once I have more of a business and more income, then I can travel to other states freely, but right now I can't. But yeah, right now I focus on multi-tenant shopping centers, specifically with tenants that have nationally recognized credit, like say a Starbucks. You go to the East Coast, you go to the West Coast, everybody knows what Starbucks is. And those are the type of products that the investors at Marcus Millichap really look for, or our clients of Marcus Millichap really look for.
Hey listeners, for my real estate investors out there, check out my free real estate metrics cheat sheet in the show notes. There are so many different metrics out there in real estate. Maybe you don't know what a capitalization rate is or how you figure out what the gross rent multiplier is on a property. This cheat sheet should bring you up to speed on many of the key metrics that real estate investors and lenders use on a regular basis when they vet properties. Did I mention that the cheat sheet is free? Go ahead and download your copy today. Back to the show. You said you're not traveling much right now. Well, I was going to say no one can travel right at the moment. So how has this whole pandemic affected your business and maybe the commercial real estate space at large?
Well, commercial real estate space is very, very big, but I can only speak for retail. It's affected it quite a bit. I'd say we're probably the second largest hit asset type out there, and the first being hotels. I was at a hotel not too long ago, and it was like a ghost town. And whenever I drive past a shopping center, it's usually the same. The good news is the government has enacted quite a few policies that have helped shopping center owners, including the Paycheck Protection Program that allows businesses to apply for loans that are forgivable. So that's helped quite a bit. I think governors are starting to ease restrictions. So there's more businesses, or there's more goods being sold at shopping centers now because they're starting to lighten up and open up. So I'm optimistic, but the last few months have been difficult.
Yeah, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe not as much light as before, but there's some light at least. So do you kind of have a business plan heading into this, or I guess you can't really plan too much for this future that we've been handed? Are you kind of just taking things in stride, or do you have a more formulaic approach to this next year?
I think the game remains the same for Marcus Millichap and investment sales brokers. I'd say you keep calling owners and you keep talking to them more than ever. I know quite a few brokers in the industry right now in retail are out in the golf course, not really talking to owners right now, taking a break because they don't think anything is happening. But I think this is the time where you hunker down, you talk to more people than ever, and they're ultimately going to remember you when you called them in a time of need, better than going out in the golf course and ignore them because they don't think anything is happening and they don't think they can offer you anything. Because I've given sound advice to quite a few owners these days, and I have better conversations than ever when the economy was actually doing well.
I really like that advice. When times are tough, others might get complacent who already have maybe a lot of business in the past, but it's those that have the high energy like yourself, Steve, that are coming in and doing the work during the tough times and building their brand, even though it might not be needed right this moment, but further down the line when the person does need some help, they'll remember you. So I really like that, and I think that's probably the best approach if for whatever my opinion is worth. So what are your longer term goals with your broker career? Is this your long term career goal to become top flight commercial real estate broker in Chicago area, other areas? What's kind of your long term career goal here?
Yeah. So I don't want to be a broker forever. It's an interesting career. I like it, but I don't love it. It's more of a means to an end. I'd really like to get my career started in investing, but you have to have capital to invest. And in most cases, you can syndicate, but I don't necessarily feel comfortable syndicating at an early time in my career when I don't have deals under my belt. So I'd like to invest with my own money first. And to do that, you need to get your money somehow. And I chose to do that through brokerage. You can do that through a number of ways. But I thought brokerage was the way for me because you have complete control of your own time. So if I want to pursue other projects that can ultimately get me capital, then I can come into the office at 10 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. and no one will be angry at me because I can ultimately control my own destiny on that. So I really want to get into investing. The goal at the beginning was to be a multifamily investor. And I still would like to do that. But as I explore retail, I've learned a lot more about other product types. So maybe single tenant retail, maybe single tenant industrial. I'd like to do that too. It's kind of up in the air right now, but I do want to get my career started as an investor, hopefully in the next 10 years.
And would you do predominantly local investing, or it seems like you're kind of comfortable with out of state just from working and on deals out of state? Do you have a target area you might be going for?
Yeah, so I definitely don't want to invest in Illinois. If anybody's familiar with Illinois, you probably know that there's a myriad of problems. Pritzker, I think, just requested money from the government for a bailout, and there's a host of other problems, so including property taxes. So ideally, I was thinking about Wisconsin or Indiana. With a little bit of more research, I think Indiana would be a stronger fit. I think the tenant-friendly laws or the landlord-friendly laws are a lot stronger than in Wisconsin and Illinois. So I'd like to go there, maybe Northwest Indiana. A lot of people who are fleeing Chicago because of the property taxes and the other problems are going to Northwestern Indiana and commuting to Chicago. So their population is actually increasing quite a bit.
I'm kind of with you there. Right now, as I've mentioned on the channel before, I'm looking for a deal in Indianapolis, even though I live in Chicago. And there are deals to be had in Chicago, but maybe not as good, or at least as easy to find as in a lot of places in Indiana. Northwest Indiana is a good option as well because of what you said, that there's a lot of people leaving Chicago, but not getting, or maybe not leaving Chicago, just no longer living in Chicago, and they still have their jobs and everything in Chicago since there are plenty of career opportunities there. But the environment is a little tough, as you've more than suggested. Okay, so you get your investment career rolling along. Do you want to just get to a certain point? Do you have a larger goal in mind with investing? Do you want to get into development or some other subset of real estate investing?
I've contemplated development. It's kind of the big, shiny job career that everybody likes in real estate. I know that's what I wanted to do when I was in college, going to roll-up salon meetings. But when I really dissect the life that I want, and the life that I want is just freedom with my time, developments can be a full-time business if you're a merchant developer. A merchant developer, the people that I don't know, is somebody who builds it and sells it right away once it's stabilized. It's probably not a business plan for me, but building a property to hold for the long term might be a move. So I've considered that, but ultimately, at first, it's just going to be acquiring new properties because that's the least risky of the three.
That is true. A lot of risk in development comparatively.
Yeah.
Though you're right, it is kind of the shiny object. Because that's what draws a lot of people to real estate. Is they love the tangibility. They love being able to actually change something with the property, the control you have, compared to something like stocks. You can pick what stocks you do, but ultimately don't really have much control over the company or what it's producing unless you own like hundreds of millions, if not billions, in shares. So definitely an interesting perspective, and that probably makes sense and probably is fairly common, at least among the investing community, to start with the more straightforward buy and hold, and then maybe get into something like development once you really get your experience. So then with that, Steve, do you have any sort of advice for those trying to do a similar path? Obviously, you're not necessarily that far along it, but you've probably come up to certain obstacles with it that maybe others can avoid. What sorts of problems have you run into just in these couple of years in trying to reach your greater goals?
First advice I would give would probably be choose your career wisely and think of why you do it. So think of the life you want to have. For me, it's the ability to work 40 hours a week if I want to, or 4 hours a week if I want to. I don't want to have to work 40 hours a week to pay the bills. My mom did that, and she lived paycheck to paycheck, and it was very stressful for her as a kid, that I can see. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I wanted the freedom with my time, and that ultimately led me to real estate because it's a passive income. It can be as management intensive as you want, or as management free as you want if you hire a management company. So that's the life I want. And from there, I reverse engineered my career. So I want to invest in real estate. I want passive income. How do I get there? You need money. Okay. You need money and you need to learn the business. Okay. So how do I get money and learn the business at the same time, both efficiently? I become a broker. You can earn large amounts of money, not quickly, but you can do it, and you can learn the business pretty well. I would say there's there's four main segments of real estate. There's equity market, there's the debt market, there's the transaction market, and there's property management. So in property management, probably won't earn as much money to invest. So take that out. Debt market, you probably won't earn that much money to advance. Take that out. So you have the transactions market and the equity market. So you can become a broker and you can invest, or you could go to maybe a development firm that allows you to invest some of your salary into the deals and get experience that way. So I chose ultimately brokerage as my path for that. I would say reverse engineer the life that you want to get to your career now, and then ride it out. You may not necessarily like it, but ultimately it'll get you the life that you want at the end. So
I like that perspective on reverse engineering, since a lot of longer term goals, especially when you're in your 20s or even earlier, it feels so far away and it may seem intimidating. Like, you might know that you want something in particular. Maybe you want to become an investor in real estate or something like that, or maybe you want to own a business or something like that, but you're not really sure where to start. So the best way to figure out where to start is to go backwards, get to the end, and then at least come up with a rough plan to figure out where to go. And the plan might change, as I'm sure you're probably counting on, Steve. The plan will change at some point, but the rough outline is there, and every step forward is a good step. And you can't start stepping forward till you figure out what that sort of path looks like. Well, anyway, Steve, before we wrap up, just wanted to ask if you had a book recommendation for our listeners.
Yeah, this is one I actually read when I first started my career in brokerage, and it was recommended to me by another senior broker. And it's, I don't know if you read it, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. It's just an amazing book on how to connect with other people. I see highlighted and outlined here. It gives invaluable advice. I honestly need to read it again because it's worth 3 or 4 reads. So people who are out there, if you're in a people business real estate is very much a people business, you have to learn how to interact with people more efficiently than just small talk. So I think this book does that very well, and if you have a chance to read it, you should.
And you are the second person of 3 to recommend that exact book on the podcast. So probably worth taking a look for anyone who hasn't already read it, because it's a business classic, or even really just kind of like a life classic. And then, Steve, where can our listeners get in touch with you if they maybe want to just talk about goals, talk about real estate investing, whether they want to invest with you as their broker or maybe as a partner, who knows? Where can our listeners reach out?
Yeah, you guys can email me. It's Steven with a V .Krueger, spelled like Freddy Krueger, at marcusmillichap.com. I'll give Jack my email as well. And I have a LinkedIn page where I can send the URL to Jack as well.
And that will be in the show notes in the description below, so you can definitely take a look there and get in touch with Steve if you'd like. Well, anyways, thank you very much for coming on to the show, Steve. Appreciate it, and wish you the best of luck through these trying times for all of us, but especially those in retails. And I'm sure with your, we'll call it gumption, you'll find a way through.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. You too.
Thanks for listening to The Jack Duffley Show. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss any new episodes. For more content on personal finance, real estate, and other topics, check out jackduffley.com.